Hello and welcome to Rocky Mountaineer's Vancouver Station. Today we're heading east on Rocky Mountaineer's First Passage to the west. Few journeys capture the spirit of Canada like this one. Steel rails cut through towering peaks, rivers roar beneath, and trains carve their way into history. This is no ordinary ride. It's the First Passage to the West, retracing the route of Canada's first transcontinental railroad, where engineering triumphs meet the vast and timeless grandeur of the mountains. So come with me as we climb aboard Rocky Mountaineer and experience the adventure of a lifetime through the heart of the Canadian Rockies. Our adventure begins here at Rocky Mountaineer's Vancouver Station. Originally built as the locomotive works for the Canadian National Railway, Rocky Mountaineer took over in 2004, with the first train departing in 2005. The station today is full of fanfare and waiting passengers. There's plenty of seating, complimentary coffee is set out around the station, and the air is filled by the notes of a grand piano in the center of the hall. While our train departs from the station, our journey actually begins back at our hotel. Check-in for the train opens 3 days prior to departure and can be done at one of 4 guest centers around the city. It's here where we're given our boarding passes, luggage tags, and commemorative pin for our journey. The morning of departure, Rocky Mountaineer provides a bus transfer to the station. It's also here where we say goodbye to our luggage for the day. The next time you see your bags will be at your hotel room in Kamloops, so be sure to pack a day bag before getting on the train. It's a short drive through Vancouver to reach the station, our bus passing Via Rail's Pacific Central Station before turning into the lot. The excitement in the air is palpable, our train ready and waiting as we pull in. Now, a quick disclaimer before we get on board. Our tickets today were provided by Rocky Mountaineer. While they did host us on this journey, I will do my best to remain as impartial as possible, and all opinions expressed throughout the video are entirely my own. Boarding begins with an all-aboard call, a bagpipe fanfare leading passengers out to the train. And here it is, Rocky Mountaineer's First Passage to the West. We're traveling today in GoldLeaf, the highest service class on the train. The bi-level rail cars of GoldLeaf stand out among the single-level SilverLeaf cars, our car CB13, the last on today's train. We're welcomed by the crew and a red carpet, the flags of Canada and British Columbia displayed proudly beside the entrance. Ascending the stairs, we head to the rear of the train to find our seats, numbers 1 and 2, our home for the next 2 days. The crew gives us a quick rundown of the car, the boarding doors close, and our train pulls out of Vancouver. Well, almost. As with our last ride on Rocky Mountaineer, this one begins with a backing maneuver to get us on the right track to head east toward the Rockies. With an 8 a.m. departure, the first order of business is breakfast. Breakfast is the first of 5 meals served on board, with lunch this afternoon and breakfast, lunch, and a light dinner tomorrow. Heading downstairs, we see the first advantage of GoldLeaf Service, a dedicated dining room. Located on the lower level, the dining room seats 36, with booth seating, supple lighting, white tablecloths, and proper dishware. With way more than 36 people in each car, we're split into 2 seatings. We're in the first seating for day 1 and the second on day 2, with the second seating served a light pastry to tide them over until breakfast. The breakfast menu includes a mix of choices, with more than enough to choose something different on day 2. Of course, I have to start with a classic coffee and orange juice, a warm croissant served soon after. As we wait for our main course, the tracks pull up alongside the Fraser River before crossing it via the new Westminster Bridge. The length of our train becomes immediately apparent as we cross the river, our locomotives already well onto the bridge before we even begin the turn towards the river. Breakfast is served hot and fresh. To start our journey, I went with the Eggs Benedict, served on an English muffin, with smashed potatoes, bacon, and a small green salad. Another option for breakfast is the smoked salmon avocado toast, served with pickled beets and a soft-boiled egg. Both choices look and taste excellent, as does everything else at the table. All of the meals on board are cooked to order in the onboard kitchen, the staff of 3 working a well-oiled machine to get everything out hot and quick. The onboard staff are incredibly accommodating to any requests you may have. Even asking for another side or whole dish isn't too much, with the crew working to please everyone on board. And for those traveling with dietary restrictions, Rocky Mountaineer is more than accommodating. Before departure, each passenger can submit any dietary restrictions, and the onboard staff will plan ahead to serve each passenger accordingly. Breakfast was excellent, but now I could use a breath of fresh air. In GoldLeaf, that's an easy task to accomplish. At the end of each GoldLeaf car is an open-air viewing platform. There's plenty of space, and you can be sure we'll be spending most of our time out here. We won't be getting to the first part of the scenery for another hour, so let's head back inside to see what GoldLeaf seating is all about. All passenger cars on Rocky Mountaineer are dome cars, with wraparound windows for those mountain views high above. GoldLeaf is operated in a 2x2 with plush leather seats and tons of legroom. Each row includes a solid 1.5 foot of legroom with a bit of space for personal belongings beneath the next row. The seat back pocket includes a mix of literature from the milepost newspaper to the merchandise catalog and drinks menu from the full-service bar. The tray table for each seat is stored in the outer armrest. The table slides out, rotates up, and folds out across the seat. Everyone wants to take pictures while on board, but no one wants to run out of battery. For when you're running low, outlets and USB-A ports are found between each seat, with 1 per passenger. Seat adjustments are paramount to a comfortable journey. GoldLeaf seats include electronically adjustable seat backs, leg rests, and lumbar, with a seat heater built in for those colder Canadian days. And I have to say, the seats are beautiful. They're finished in a subtle brown with a quilted caramel gold headrest. And they're very comfortable, that fact helped by their adjustability. The bi-level cars are great, but the stairwell to get to the seating area can be a challenge for some. Rocky Mountaineer recognizes this, which is why each car is equipped with an elevator. The single-person elevator allows passengers with difficulty walking or mobility aid devices to get from top to bottom, allowing them to enjoy every aspect of the journey. These rail cars are gorgeous. They're incredibly modern and clean, a fact helped by their recent construction. Our car is one of 10 manufactured by Stadler in 2019 and 2020. The remainder of Rocky Mountaineer's GoldLeaf cars were manufactured by Colorado Railcar in the late 90s and early 2000s. One of those older cars is coupled to the rear of ours, the interior of which is clearly older but still comfortable. As great as the GoldLeaf cars are, if I had one complaint, it would be the cleanliness of the windows. While the windows do wrap around for optimal views, there are water spots and streaks everywhere. This is a scenic journey, and people paid a lot to be here, so cleaning the windows should be priority number 1. It's also worth mentioning that Wi-Fi is unavailable on Rocky Mountaineer trains. It's hardly an issue though, as the scenery outside is all that anyone needs to stay entertained while on board. With the second breakfast seating wrapped up, the bar opens for the day. While the bar is located at the forward end of the car, the crew serves passengers directly at their seats. Drinks of all kind are available throughout the journey, On offer are a selection of cocktails, local beers, wines, cider, and non-alcoholic beverages. To get things started, I went with a specialty cocktail, the name of which escapes me, but trust me, it was quite good. This is followed by a selection of light snacks, the options of which include a sweet, salty, or spicy snack mix. The first signs of scenery begin to peek through the dense tree line. We cross the Harrison River as the clouds part, revealing a blue sky and high sun, the perfect backdrop as we reach the Cascade Mountain range. We turn north through Hope to begin our run north through the Fraser Canyon. Picturesque vistas pop in and out of view through the dense tree line beside the tracks. The tight bends of the canyon mean slow running, which gives us plenty of time to sit and enjoy the stunning views under the high September sun. We twist and turn our way up the canyon, our train curving and disappearing out of sight on the tracks ahead. As we cruise up the Fraser Canyon, it's time for lunch. We're once again seated in the dining car, the crew filling in the seats opposite as more passengers arrive. Lunch is a 3-course meal, with a fresh-baked focaccia as a starter, a choice of main, and 2 options for dessert. The fresh-baked focaccia is served almost as soon as we sit down. It's incredibly aromatic and savory, the hummus and chutney a wonderful pairing. A selection of wines are served for lunch. I chose a red, which will pair well with our main course here in a bit. As we sip our wine and enjoy our starter, Hell's Gate comes into view. Hell's Gate is the narrowest portion of the Fraser Canyon, the river just 110 feet across. The site is a popular tourist destination, a cable car and bridge taking tourists across the river and up the walls of the gorge. For lunch today, I had to go with the strip loin steak, and as with breakfast, it looks incredible. The steak is juicy and tender, served with a side of roasted potatoes and broccolini. The steelhead salad also looks excellent, the trout served on a bed of mixed greens and asparagus. For dessert, it's the classic chocolate torte. It's incredibly dense and rich, in a perfect way to wrap up the meal. I know I'm using a lot of greats and excellence here, but the food on board really was amazing the entire ride. Rocky Mountaineer prides itself on the quality of its meals, and it's clear that this isn't just a marketing ploy, it's the truth. While we're downstairs, we can look at the third and arguably most important amenity found on the lower level, the bathrooms. There are 2 bathrooms in each GoldLeaf car, with 1 regular and 1 accessible. The accessible bathroom includes plenty of space for mobility aid devices, with a toilet at one end and a vanity at the other. The sink and soap are both touchless, with paper towels stocked in the slots above the trash can. The regular facility is very similar, with the same suite of toilet and vanity. Both are in excellent condition and remained that way throughout the trip. The Fraser River is putting on a show as we return to the viewing platform, the pale green water rushing away through the landscape. Cisco Crossing is one of the most spectacular points of the Fraser Canyon. It's here where the Canadian Pacific and Canadian National Railways cross the river at the same time, each with their own bridge. Emerging from the mountains, we cross the Canadian Pacific Bridge, a black through-truss bridge. 1,200 feet up the river, the Canadian National Bridge soars overhead, the orange arched bridge spanning 425 feet over the river and Canadian Pacific Railway. Despite being owned by competing companies, the two rail lines here form the basis of a two-track main line through the Fraser Canyon. The Canadian Pacific Line serves northbound trains, while the Canadian National Line serves southbound traffic. Almost immediately after Cisco Crossing, the landscape changes drastically. Gone are the lush forests of Western Canada, instead replaced by a burnt and barren landscape. What we're seeing is the aftermath of the Lytton wildfire, a fast-moving fire which tore through the area in 2021. Through Lytton is where we bid farewell to the Fraser River and say hello to the Thompson River. This first portion of the Thompson River passes through Rainbow Canyon, the name given from the various colors of minerals in the soil, such as oxidized copper and iron, and deposits of sulfur. And while I could talk about the landscapes as we pass through, I might as well let them speak for themselves. As we enjoy the landscapes, it's also time we enjoy another drink. This time I went with a Gin Rocky, Rocky Mountaineer's twist on a Gin Ricky. We sit back, sip back, and relax as our train winds its way up the Thompson River. Traveling through rural BC means you're bound to see wildlife. Our first encounter with Canadian fauna comes in the form of some bighorn sheep ascending the cliffs beside the tracks. The sandy cliffs are a stark contrast to the scenery earlier this morning. It appears we've somehow made it to Utah and the striking landscapes of the Colorado Plateau, and yet we're still in Canada. Be on the lookout for the Wallachine Bridge as the train approaches Kamloops Lake. Perched on top of the truss is a massive osprey nest, the largest visible on any of Rocky Mountaineer's routes. The nest is not only massive, but it's believed to have been there for over 100 years. The mountains spread out and away from the river as we reach Kamloops Lake. The 29-kilometer lake is located just west of the confluence of the North and South Thompson Rivers, the lake once 20 times longer in prehistoric times. With both tracks on one side of the lake, freight traffic once again becomes ever-present. As we wind our way east, a Canadian National tanker train powers west, blocking the views of the lake. If you're looking to take home a piece of the journey, then look no further than the merchandise catalog. The catalog includes a variety of gifts and collectibles. Purchased items will be left on your seat when boarding on day 2. Suburbia surrounds us as we arrive in Kamloops. We cross the North Thompson River and pass the Via Rail station before pulling into Rocky Mountaineer's Kamloops Depot. While Rocky Mountaineer trains are multi-day journeys, passengers don't actually sleep on the train. Instead, Rocky Mountaineer provides passengers with hotel accommodations at about the midway point of each trip. This allows 100% of the journey to be taken in daylight, which means more time for sightseeing. Kamloops is our stopover for this evening. Our room keys provided on the train before we're shuttled over to our hotel. It's also here where the first passage to the west and journey through the clouds part ways. From here, we'll continue east towards Banff, while journey through the clouds heads north towards Jasper. With 550 people on board, passengers are spread out across multiple hotels. We're told to board one of the many waiting coaches, and we're quickly on our way to the Delta Hotel Kamloops. The room is pretty standard for a Marriott hotel. There's 2 queen beds and a nice bathroom. While it's not the most flashy accommodation, it's more than comfortable enough for a good night's sleep. And most importantly, our bags are waiting for us when we arrive. After heading out to grab some dinner, it's time to get to bed, as we've got a very early morning for day 2. We're up bright and early the next morning. With the longer of the 2 travel days ahead, pickup time for the motor coach to the station is at a staggering 6 a.m. We leave our luggage behind, board the motor coach, and head back to the station to meet our train. The crew welcomes us back on board, we find our seats, and we're off to the Rockies. the meal rotation has flipped for day 2, with our half of the car now on the second seating for breakfast and lunch. To tide us over until our breakfast seating, we're served a light pastry and coffee. Today it's a cranberry cake with lemon drizzle. It's another beautiful day in British Columbia. The high sun reflects off the water of the South Thompson, the river our guide for the first part of the day. And keep a lookout along the banks for wildlife. You might just spot some bald eagles. With such a beautiful morning, there's only one proper way to spend it: outside. Of course, this is still a passenger train in North America, which means we're soon halted to wait for a freight train to pass. The timing, however, couldn't be any better, as it's time for breakfast. Tables are set as we walk in, the menu the same as yesterday. Breakfast once again starts with juice and coffee, followed by a croissant in our main course. I went with the scrambled eggs served with bacon, potatoes, and a fresh green salad. Our table mates ordered the breakfast skillet, roasted potatoes and peppers with a sunny side up egg. Breakfast is again delicious, the crew more than happy to accommodate our request for some extra toast. We return to the viewing platform once more as we ascend towards Lake Shuswap. The small community of Canoe is where we meet the biggest fan of the First Passage to the west, Doris. Doris or her husband Brian have been waving at the train for as long as the staff can remember, and is an icon of Rocky Mountaineer.
Here on the porch, there's Doris, everybody! She didn't eat Brian today, I see.
Lake Shuswap makes for a beautiful backdrop to enjoy the morning, the mountains on the far shore lush with vegetation. Craigellachie is where we'll find a monument to the last spike driven on the Canadian Pacific Transcontinental Railroad. Driven on November 7, 1885, the last spike marked the completion of Canadian Pacific's Transcontinental Railroad, connecting Canada from coast to coast for the first time. the community of Revelstoke marks the beginning of our jaunt alongside the Illecillewaet River. We'll cross the river 10 times over the next 64 miles, the narrow creek and high cliffs making for some spectacular scenery. Our earlier wildlife encounters may have been cool, but a call over the radio indicates we're about to see something truly special: a black bear. The bear is just sitting, enjoying the train. Who knew bears were rail fans? This is actually the first of 2 black bears we spotted on our journey. The second came about an hour after this one, but I was unable to get any footage of it. But trust me, it was there. I noticed throughout the journey that being at the back of the train meant we had a massive advantage for seeing wildlife. There are nearly 20 cars ahead of us, with everyone looking out the window at the scenery. All it takes is one person to spot something before a radio call is made to the rest of the train, giving us plenty of time to be on the lookout for whatever may come. I'm not sure if there's a way to request a seat at the rear of the train when booking, but if you want the best shot of seeing wildlife, then this is the way to do it. Back in the dome, it's time to grab another snack, followed by a cocktail and a full serving of stunning mountain views. Keep a lookout for a disused railway bridge on the opposite bank. The old stonemason's bridge is a remnant from before the line was moved to the other side of the river to avoid avalanches. The Selkirk Mountains take center stage as we enter Glacier National Park. The mountains ahead grow ever taller, but we won't be turning around them. Instead, we're heading through them. Built in 1914, the Connaught Tunnel runs 5 miles beneath Mount Macdonald, taking trains through the mountains to avoid the treacherous conditions on Rogers Pass. As we enter the tunnel, we're called to lunch. The lunch menu is a bit different than yesterday, with a remix of the same base ingredients for a whole new set of delicious choices. I went with the pork tenderloin and lemon lavender posset for dessert. Now, we may have just sat down for lunch, but only a few minutes after the Connaught Tunnel is the Stoney Creek Bridge. On the left of the bridge, Stoney Creek cascades down from Hermit Glacier. On the right, the Beaver Valley spreads out in a spectacular panorama. Returning to our table, the starter has been served. Today it's a tasting plate with prosciutto, pickled vegetables, and baguette. Our main course of pork tenderloin looks delicious, served on a mix of butternut squash, beets, and charred peach. The tenderloin is a little overdone and thus a bit dry, but the juice from the peaches and beets makes up for that. The flavors are excellent despite how it was cooked, and while it isn't as good as the steak from yesterday, it's still a great meal. The lemon posset is a light and refreshing way to wrap up lunch, the compote served with a lavender macaron. While dining in GoldLeaf is done in the dining room, dining in SilverLeaf is a little different. For those passengers traveling in SilverLeaf, meals are served directly at your seat. The menu is a little different, but everything is still cooked fresh to order. And while we're on the subject, what does traveling in SilverLeaf even look like? SilverLeaf cars are single-level dome cars with a total of 56 passengers in a 2x2. Passengers are treated to spacious leather seats with plenty of legroom and a footrest for extra comfort. Each seat includes a leather seatback pocket, tray table, and 2 outlets. Passengers recline their seats using the levers on each side, the seats reclining forward in their self-contained shells. Each car includes a small galley wherein meals are prepared. Open-air viewing is also offered on SilverLeaf, but it's rather limited. Rocky Mountaineer keeps the upper half of the vestibule doors open, allowing 1 or 2 passengers to stand at the window per door, which means a lot of sharing is required to rotate through the whole car. These shots are from our travels in SilverLeaf Plus back when we took the Rockies to Red Rocks from Denver, Colorado to Moab, Utah. If you missed that adventure, check it out at the links in the top right or in the description below. Well, prior to our arrival in Banff, the crew hands out our arrival cards to each group of passengers. On the card is the motor coach information for the transfer to our hotel and a QR code should passengers wish to book any additional activities. Rocky Mountaineer is named after, well, the Rocky Mountains, and for the past day and a half we haven't actually been in the Rockies. But as we wind our way down the Kicking Horse River, we leave the Selkirk Mountains behind and cross over into the Rocky Mountains. The scenery is stunning. Enormous peaks surround us in all directions, the Continental Divide emerging from the smoke and haze to form a wall of rock on the horizon. To cross the Continental Divide, we need a little assistance from engineering. From Fields to Kicking Horse Pass, the tracks have to ascend 1,210 feet. At the heart of this 10-mile stretch is the 950-foot climb just north of Cathedral Mountain. The first solution to the grade was a simple one, a really big hill. Referred to aptly as the Big Hill, the 1884 rail line descended at a grade of 4.5% for 4.1 miles. That equates to 4.5 feet of elevation for every 100 feet traveled. This is over twice the standard 2.2% for mainline railroads, which meant the line was incredibly unsafe for regular use, but then again it was only seen as a temporary solution. It then proceeded to see use for the next 25 years. Finally, in 1907, 2 spiral tunnels were built, modeled after those in Switzerland. These tunnels doubled the distance and thus halved the grade, making it a much more manageable 2.2%. The doubling back nature of the spiral tunnels means we get plenty of time to enjoy the Yoho Valley and Cathedral Mountain. With our crossing of the Continental Divide, we also cross into Alberta. The setting sun casts long shadows over the valley, the low-hanging haze turning the horizon a pale orange. The first passage to the west is scheduled to arrive in Banff around 8:15 p.m. This is rather late, which is why we're served a light dinner ahead of our stop in Lake Louise. Dinner is served at your seat and there's only one option. Tonight's meal is chicken, mashed potatoes, and mixed veggies. While it's not as spectacular as our previous meals, it's still tasty and more than filling enough to tide us over until Banff. As we dine, we pull into Lake Louise, our first of 2 destination spots for passengers on the first passage to the west. The first few cars disembark and we carry on. While the day has already been filled with some truly spectacular landscapes, the stretch from Lake Louise to Banff is ready to put on one last show. These final miles follow the Bow Valley, at the heart of which is the vibrant blue of the Bow River. As we approach the end of our journey, there's one major point that needs to be addressed: the price. Rocky Mountaineer is a luxury tourist train, which means high prices. How high, you may ask? Well, GoldLeaf tickets from Vancouver to Banff start at a staggering $2,326 per person. There's also the option of SilverLeaf, which comes in at around $1,713. GoldLeaf tickets may be pricey, but the ticket includes the train travel itself, an incredibly attentive crew, fresh cooked meals, unlimited drinks, and the accommodation in Kamloops. Rocky Mountaineer frequently runs discounts or promotions through their website, so keep an eye out for deals when booking a ticket. The price is certainly a hard pill to swallow, but if you're looking for a relaxing, all-inclusive land cruise, then Rocky Mountaineer is the perfect choice. Would you be willing to pay for such an amazing journey? Let me know in the comments below. In our final moments on board, our crew gives some closing words before handing out a signed postcard to commemorate our journey. And while the crew says thank you to us, I want to extend a massive thank you to them. Alicia, Yaje, Seamus, and Katie, you all were amazing, and Chef Eric was incredible down in the kitchen. Thank you all for such an amazing experience. I also want to extend another massive thank you to Rocky Mountaineer for providing our tickets on the First Passage to the West. This journey was truly unbelievable, and it is a massive privilege to be able to share this journey with all of you. As the shadows cast by the western peaks grow ever longer, we slow to a crawl along the Vermilion Lakes, our train pulling into Banff at the end of the line. What an unbelievable journey! From stunning landscapes and gorgeous rivers to wildlife and wildfires, the First Passage to the West had it all. And with our journey now at an end, and before we board our coach transfer to the hotel, it's time to bring today's video to a close. If you stuck around this far, I just want to say thank you. I know this was an incredibly long video, but there was no way to capture the majesty of this route without making it any shorter. Next week, we're heading through the Alps on a high-speed train, traveling from Paris to Milan on Trenitalia's FrecciaRossa high-speed train. We'll be traveling in executive class, the trip promising everything from high-speed running and stunning mountain passes to premium meals and exclusive seating. This journey promises to be one of the best in Europe, so stick around for when that one goes live. Anyways, if you're new around here, I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. It's totally free and it really helps support the channel. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to my loyal patrons and members. Y'all are amazing, and your incredible generosity is, as always, greatly appreciated. If you too want your name in the video, or just want to support the channel in more ways than one, then head on over to the links in the description below. But anyways, that's all I have for today. Thanks for riding with me, and I'll see you in the next one.